Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tea and Crystals podcast. I am T.
And I'm Kristal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have you all back with us for another illustrious episode of this here podcast. Now we got a lot of stuff to get into today, y'all. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. It's a thick docket, but we finna get through this thing. But before we do, y'all know how I got to start the show. Kristal, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's been a pretty low-key week. We're actually filming a little bit earlier, so there really hasn't been much that's happened since.
I'm about to say, girl, I just seen you.
So there really isn't, nothing's really changed.
Yeah.
How have you been?
Oh, child, how have I been? You and I just had a whole pre-show meeting about this. My little one has chicken pox, and as someone who has never had any experience with the chicken pox, I believe I was vaccinated. So I've never known anyone with the chicken pox other than my father. He had the chicken pox, but my mom was pregnant with me when he got it. So I've never known anyone who has had the chicken pox. So this is a very strange experience for me. It's very wild to see how it has progressed. And it's been a rough week, y'all. It's like as soon as Kristal and I finished recording the last episode, things just went left. Like shit hit the fan, and I have just been scrambling for my life ever since. So that has been my week so far.
Yeah, I feel for the little one. I have had the chicken pox when I was little. I don't really remember much of it. I do vaguely remember obviously being itchy, but for the most part, I just remember my oatmeal baths, and I think I was really pink from the calamine lotion.
It's so crazy to hear you talk about the oatmeal baths. Like that's something you only hear about for me, like in TV shows where they would get chicken pox and they would get oatmeal bath, and it'd be like a whole thing where they got their hair in the, what do you call them things? The shower caps. And they'd be covered in oatmeal or something. Like I feel like I saw that on like the Amanda show or something like that. It's one of them shows.
Yeah, I just remember I had it. I don't really remember like if it helped or anything like that. Like, did it do anything? I don't remember being all that sick or anything like that, but I feel for her. I'm sure she's not happy because one thing about your little one is she is very feisty. So she's not just gonna, she's not just gonna whine and complain. Like she's gonna be mad that she's feeling this way
and tell you exactly. Like she this evening, it was dinner time or whatever, she was so agitated, like she couldn't even sit down to eat dinner. Like she had to get down and eat her dinner standing up because she was just so itchy and irritated. And she was saying, it's my back, it's my no, right, no, not there, here. I said here, it's my back, there. And then if you stop, ain't nobody tell you stop. Keep itching my back. Like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to eat now. Soothe me. And I was like, girl, with kids like that, listen, this little one take after me. If you tell me what you want 9 times out of 10, you finna get it. Just because you communicate it to me. Like, yeah, I ain't finna get too much in my business because I'm going to tell y'all some stuff that y'all didn't need to know. Because I know I don't like telling my business like that. But it is funny for me to see her like really tell us what she want, when she want it, how she's feeling. How she does want to go about things, how she don't want to go about things. And I'm gonna listen to you. Shit. If you got the sense enough to tell me what you want and what you don't want, I'ma err on your side every time. Okay. If it ain't hurting nobody, I'm going with what you say. You the adult in the room at this point.
Right. Well, I'm wishing your little one a speedy recovery for all of y'all's sanity. But on the note of you not liking to share your business, I have a new little, I guess, segment I'm calling this Kristal's Queries.
Kristal's Queries.
Yeah, I feel like we just use T so much. You get a lot of segments named after yourself. So this one's mine.
Well, it's almost a pun because, like Crystal, isn't it quarry? Where they go down, isn't it like the mines? A quarry?
Is that what
where
it
they
is?
go and mine for minerals and crystals and stuff like that. I think it's called a quarry.
Should it be Kristal Quarries? I don't know if that makes sense.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let the kids double entendre on
I
their
know,
own.
right? But I figured, this is it's a nice little get to know. We'll both answer these questions, but it's a nice little get to know without being too detailed about our business.
I reserve the right to pass.
But I also figured, something, with this little segment, if we ever have guests or something like that, and we want to do some sort of like video interview or something like that, this is the segment it would land under. But for our audience out there, I would love for you to also answer these questions in the comments. I would love to read them to hear what you think or what your answers are. And if you make me laugh, I might bring it onto the podcast. So
that's an incentive. Let's go.
All right. So we're going to get started. What's okay. What's something that you're too old to do, but you still enjoy?
Something that I'm too old to do, but still, I like to collect Hot Wheels. I am probably way too old. Kristal probably didn't even know that.
I did.
You're telling my business. Oh my God.
That's really interesting.
I like to collect the emergency vehicles. So ambulances, especially police cars. Ever since I was little, my brother and I had, we shared a room when we were young, and it had a double closet, essentially, with double doors on each closet. So we had our own closets in the room, and each of our closets had a toy chest in it. And one of the toy chests was full of little action figures and stuff, but the other toy chest was literally filled with model cars, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, the bigger model cars. Like we were obsessed. And I had a little pouch that I still have in my mother's house from when I was a baby that is full of, when we moved out of that house, I kept my core collection of cars, and most of them were emergency ones. So when I went home this past November or December, one of them, I went home both times. I bought those back with me. I bought the police cars back with me. And I even, for Christmas, I'm already starting my business. For Christmas, my mom got me a really nice case that you can zip up, and it's essentially like a travel case, but it's like velvet on the inside to keep your cars like nice and maintained over the. Girl, you about to laugh at me? Stop.
I'm not. I swear. I felt like I was about to burp, and I didn't want to do it in my mic. I was like, is that happening? Do I need to mute?
But that's me. What about you?
That's cool. That's really interesting. Me, I think it's just the fact that there are some things from my childhood I can't really let go of. So for instance, I don't have kids. I mean, I have nephews and nieces and stuff like that, but I don't have them all the time, obviously, is bad. So I will watch a kids movie, like a Disney or a Pixar or something like that. And I love rewatching. My dogs are going. I'm so sorry. I like rewatching some of the TV shows I used to watch as a kid, especially because a lot of those TV shows, I don't really find other people who have seen them or who remember them. Like one of them, I do know a lot more people than I thought watched it, which is Gargoyles. I used to love Gargoyles.
Bitch.
And I will watch. When Disney Plus
Oh,
came out, it was great for me because there's a lot of old shows on there that I used to watch. Gargoyles is one of them, but another one that I always really loved was a show called So Weird, and it was on Disney.
girl, so
No,
weird.
you know, see,
Absolutely.
everyone I ever speak to never hears about this show, so I'm like, maybe it was just me. But then when Disney Plus came out and they had it, I was
Uh-huh.
like, yes. And I
Oh, they
watched
got it on
the.
Disney Plus.
Mhm. I binge watched it.
Yeah.
I did. Mostly
Do
the
you re-
first 3 seasons. I didn't really watch the last seasons.
So Weird was similar to Are You Afraid of the Dark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
If
remember I was deathly afraid of those shows when I was little. Girl, I was so scared. I did
I
not like it.
I loved it. I loved it so much. So if anyone who's never seen the show and you want to get a
Uh,
little in touch with your childhood, go watch it. It's not an animated show either. It's but it was before like the Lizzie McGuire's, the Miley Cyrus stuff, Wizard
Ravens, all that
yeah,
stuff.
all that stuff. It was way before
Uh-huh.
all that stuff. But it was
Uh-huh.
really good. I highly recommend
Gargoyles.
it.
You took it back, girl.
Oh god, I
That was
love
my
that.
show. That and
Yes.
Darkwing Duck.
Yep. Yeah, I used to love those shows.
Uh-huh.
And then I think recently, what was it? Well, there was an actress who played one of the professors in the Harry Potter movies, and she came out and was like, "I don't understand why y'all are still bugging about these movies. Like, y'all are grown now. You shouldn't." It's a little concerning because this was made for children, and I'm just like, I'm offended. Like,
Right.
because I still find joy in something that I found joy in as a kid, that I still like
Uh-huh.
to experience it, something that I
Yeah.
grew up with. Like, why is that? Whatever.
And we
um
remember when those books were new.
yeah,
You know,
I
them at the
remember
Scholastic Book Fair and stuff.
my mom even took me to, like, I don't remember which book it was. I want to say it was the fourth one. I want to say it was the really thick one. But she had noticed that I had taken an interest in the Harry Potter books, and she took me to like this little hole in the wall bookstore one night when it was supposed to like drop at midnight. They were officially allowed to start selling it. And so she took me to one of those like little parties. It wasn't, too many people because, like I said, it was a hole in the wall. But it was fun, being with these other people who were my age, who read this book too, who really enjoyed it. I remember I sped through that book. I read it so quickly.
Ah,
But yeah,
we
I
love to hear
just
it.
stuff like that. Love it. Okay. What celebrity or person of influence do you feel you would connect with the most? Like, instantly click with, if you had an extended period of time with them, whether dinner or you worked with them or something. Who do you think you'd click with?
Okay. First one that comes to my mind, and I have always felt this way, and that's because we actually share a birthday.
Mm.
She's 1 year older than me, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Miley Cyrus.
Oh.
I feel like me and Miley Cyrus would get off so well. Like, I don't know if it's the fact that we share a birthday. I don't know if it's a
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarian thing. But I feel like Miley Cyrus and I have a very similar way of looking at the world, where I would just be able to kick it with her. Like, it wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be no, like, we trying to impress one another or like put on a facade and that. And like, I feel like I could for real kick back, be me, and we would get along. I don't know why, but I have always felt that way.
Wow. I would not have expected that. Not
That's why
who
you
I
gotta
would.
ask these questions, girl.
I
I'm an
know.
onion. I got layers.
I feel you on that. There's a couple that I feel like I would really get along with well. And granted, I don't know any of these people. I've never met any of them. It's only from what I've seen. And as we've learned with some people, what you see isn't always what you get, J-Lo. So you don't know how people are gonna be. But for me, there's a couple of people. One,
Lonnie Love.
growing up.
Sorry. No,
I have
now that we
worked
just
with her.
started.
I have
Oh,
worked
I
with her.
know.
And I had a story about her too. I think I told you.
And
You,
because when you told me, I
yeah,
was like, well, I've always felt, and you
Mhm.
said I can confirm.
I can confirm that.
You know.
We're gonna leave that there.
Mhm.
One was Kristen Stewart. I always felt like me and her would click really, really well.
I'm on camera sometimes.
I feel like I've always felt we would click really, really well. I feel like we have very similar personalities. Selena Gomez is actually one of them, which surprised me because she is a couple years younger than me. But she's probably around your age, though.
I think she and I were born the same year. I want to say, or she's 1 year. She's either 1 year older or younger than me.
Okay, that's
we're around
what
the
I
same
thought.
time.
Selena Gomez, and then recently 2 people. One would be Margot Robbie. I just feel like she would be so much fun, like just a barrel of laughs. And then I don't know her actual, like, I think her name is Nicola. I don't remember her last name, but she's in the Bridgerton series. And
I've never seen that.
Before that, she was in I want to say, because I think she's Irish. Before that, she was in a show called Dairy Girls on Netflix. But she's my age, and I just feel like we would get along really well. Like, she just seems so fun. But yeah, those are my people. Those are who I think.
That's a mix. That's a mixed bag. I would want to go to that Sunday dinner,
that
whatever
dinner party.
y'all do. I would love to go to that dinner party.
Yeah, because Taylor Swift won't have nothing on us in our girl group.
And I'm gonna leave that there. As a card-carrying member of the Beehive, I am not allowed to comment on that lady in public.
Okay, what is a word or phrase you grew up with that your family convinced you was real, but wasn't?
Okay. So that is really, really fun. It is so crazy that you ask me these questions and something pops in my head immediately. So I don't know what the actual words are to this saying, but I know phonically what I hear when they say the saying. So say somebody somebody is driving down the road and their tire goes flat and they wind up flipping their car in the ditch. Don't nobody get hurt, but they wind up just flipping their car a little bit in the ditch. Car halfway total.
Just a little bit.
And then, somebody has seen that on the way. They know the person and they come to somebody else's house, right? Just to visit. They'll be like, oh, you won't believe what I just saw Earl. He done flipped up in the ditch again. And they be like, God the musty no. I don't know what the fuck that means. My family has said it my entire life. I know my wife heard it. God the musty no. What the fuck did that mean? I've literally never used it because I don't even know if that's the right words.
Right.
Black people out there, I don't know if it's a Virginia thing. I don't know if it's a Southern thing or if it's an East Coast. I don't know where it come from. But they will say, God, the musty no.
That is wild. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I'm about to throw my mama under the bus with this one, and I think you actually know this one. I think you know this one because I think you are the one who actually pointed out that it's not a thing. You were the one who blew my world. That goes to show you how long I thought this was a thing. So growing up, my family had this saying when we would do U-turns. So when we had to get ready to do a U-turn, instead of someone going, oh, why don't you just go up here and do a U-turn? I don't know why we said this. Because now that I think about it, like really think about it, I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, but because I grew up hearing it, I just it means a U-turn. You're making a U-turn. We would say, go up there and whip a shitty. I'm going to whip a shitty right here. Just whip a shitty. It's fine.
Oh, my God.
I was convinced I never heard anybody else say it, But I was convinced, because we spent most of our time down here in the South, I was just convinced that it was a Northern thing. Because, when we got up to Massachusetts, my mother's accent got super thick. But we were never really around anybody that, like I said, nobody else ever said it. It was just our family. But I just was convinced it was a Northern thing, that's what they said in the North. So when I said it around Timmy for the first time, he was like,
what the fuck?
What? And I'm just like, yeah, you do a U-turn. He was like, God. No, Kristal, that's not. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I swear. I was like, it must be a Northern thing. It's something people up in Massachusetts do. Like, I'll ask my mom about it. And I asked my mom about it, and she was just like, yeah. I was like, that's a thing in Massachusetts, right? And she was like, it's our thing. What?
Yeah, girl.
I've spent how many years just casually throwing this phrase out there to I don't know how many people, and it was never actually
embarrassing. And you know what's crazy? Kristal and I this year will have known each other for 10 years. Isn't that crazy, Kristal?
Gosh, that's crazy.
A decade. Ever since Kristal told me this, I've used it every day of my life. I literally just used it the other day. I just whip a shitty. My wife is over there laughing right now. I have literally, it's part of my vocabulary now. Anytime even if it's a legal U-turn, I'm like, let me just whip a shitty real quick. I swear to God, I loved it so much. I was so confused when I first heard it, but I instantly fell in love with it, and it is a permanent part of my vocabulary to this day.
And it wasn't until you put it out that I'm like, maybe a toilet, like, that's going around. It's not doing
It made no sense, but now it makes
perfect
complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
Complete sense. One day when it ends up in the Webster Dictionary, the origin will be this podcast.
Yes.
Okay. The origin will be this podcast, and I'll take it. Okay.
Because my mom's going to be really...
Thanks to your mom. Yeah.
My mom's going to be really happy to hear that. She's going to be like, exactly. Because now when she says it, I'm like, that's not the thing, Mom. That's not a thing. And she's like, it is a thing, Kristal. It's our thing.
I'm with her.
And I still do it. I do it. I'm like, I'm going to whip a shitty right here. Like, it's just... That's what we say. Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep my other questions for another time so we can get started.
Okay. Let's get to the main event. Well, thank you to your mama, because that is really, it is a delight. I laugh every time I say it. It is a delight in my life. So thank you.
I'm glad you enjoy it, and I'm sure she's happy to hear that. And you guys are more than welcome to also start using that phrase. Yeah. Take it. I don't know if you can take his phrase, but you can definitely take mine.
They be like, how you spell it? God? Duh. Musty no. Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna have to figure that out in the captions. I'm gonna be like, what?
Ooh,
you're gonna have to send me something.
I told you I don't know what the words are. It's a sound. That's literally all I got.
I'm curious to see what the AI comes up with.
It's gonna be like garlic avocado. That's what it's gonna give you.
Okay. Am I doing my story first, or are you doing a story
Yes,
first?
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
I am. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to do this one first. So this is actually touching... Yeah, I'm going to do this first. This is actually touching on a topic that we briefly covered on our last episode. Okay. This is from the Relationship Advice Forum. And this is fairly recently. This was from about 3 months ago. Excuse me.
What is wrong with us tonight?
I don't know.
Because I'm over here. We are literally burping at the same time. Because what the hell? Are we just... Did somebody flip a switch somewhere on Earth where all the old people just burping? I ain't even eat nothing. I ate carrots and fish tonight.
I
I should
know.
not be burping like this.
I scarfed down some cheese and crackers and
Which, by the way,
grapes.
oh, jealousy
So
flowing through
good.
my veins. Oh,
So
it looks
good.
so good.
It was. It was really good.
I
Okay.
meant to say that.
My 22 female boyfriend, 24 male, is a passport bro, and I had no idea.
You better.
Uh-huh.
You better.
I've been with my boyfriend for 8 months. Things have been going really well between us up until a few days ago. A little backstory. I'm from a Central European country and he's American. He said he settled in my country because of work opportunities. We met in a coffee house where I work as a barista. We clicked instantly and started going out a few weeks later. Everything was so good and we had so much fun. Fast forward to last week. He asked me to help him with some documentations. I was happy to do so, as I know my language is hard to understand and even translate sometimes. When I was searching online on his laptop, I stumbled upon some weird websites. They were all about passport bros. I didn't even know what the hell that was at first. Basically, it has tips on how to settle in foreign countries, where to find a traditional bride, which country has the most beautiful women, etc. I was shocked and so confused. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to gain some clarity and checked his profile on one of these websites. He had full on conversations about Eastern European countries, European women, how easy or hard it is to take them out on dates, if it would be better to settle down in Asia instead, and so on. He decided to settle down in my country. I feel dehumanized and like he fetishized me and the women from my country. Also, our whole relationship has been built on a lie because he told me he settled down here because he got a job offer. After I found all of this stuff, I quickly took a few pictures as proof and then made up an excuse to come home. He's tried to reach out a few times, but I told him I don't feel well, so I can't meet up right now. I can't even look at him. I feel so disgusted. Am I overreacting? How can I confront him about all of this?
This is crazy. This is crazy. Because I feel like in most of these instances, at least of what I have seen online of the passport bros, they usually are they usually attract women, at least since the passport bros have kind of become like a known thing, especially on the TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that these women kind of seek them out to kind of bleed them dry of their natural resources,
Right.
which would be money and experiences. So it's very wild to me that this lady had no idea that this man was a passport bro. I think the most disgusting thing about that letter was the fact that he was categorizing women by how difficult they are to attain based on his status as an American with mediocre money. And the fact that European women were kind of at the top of the list, like the most difficult, kind of goes back to what we alluded to last episode, right? Where these passport bros, at least the ones that I've seen, are usually men of color. At least from my experience, right? Whether that be, black men, Indian men, Middle Eastern men, it's usually men of color. I haven't seen too many Caucasian passport bros. I'm sure there are some, because anyway, I'm not going to do that. But the fact that they set the point I'm getting to is that his pecking order started with European women. And I see why she feels devalued and degraded, because he started with European women, then went to Asian women, and then went to Middle Eastern women. I mean, Middle American women, which kind of lets you know like where on the totem pole you fit in his grading of women's worthiness to him, if that makes sense. It's just gross. Leave his ass. It's not even a question. Leave his ass alone in the dark. Just break it off with him. I mean,
Yeah.
you owe him nothing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Hopefully you've gotten something out of it in the course of things, but
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that, because in the few instances that I've delved into looking into what passport bros were,
man.
your explanation of it last episode actually confused me, because that wasn't what I was seeing. It wasn't because women were trying to get everything they could out of them. When I was looking at it, it was a lot of men complaining about how women are too westernized here. They want to have their jobs, their own money. They don't want to have kids all the time. They want to be in the working force. They want equal share in a household. And these men don't want that. They want a traditional submissive wife. And so they go to these other countries thinking that these women haven't been as exposed to Western modernization thinking. And so therefore they can marry these women and have that essentially live-in maid that they like to glorify, those 50, 60, early 40, whatever, housewives. And so that's what that, and like the alpha dom and all that, that's what it's all about. They're trying to get you to find that type of woman who will stay home, give you a bunch of kids, do all the cooking, the cleaning, the housework, and all you have to do is provide for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I was confused.
Yeah. And I think the passport bros would love for you to think that, right? That's kind of what they project to get people to join their movement. And it may have even started out that way. But like I said when I first was responding to the story, right? Since the things have gone viral on TikTok and Twitter especially, these women have gotten hip. And if you look enough, there are videos of passport bros complaining about the fact that the women down there are no longer acting in that way. They're moving in a totally different way. They'll entertain you for the time that you're there, because now they know it's a lick. These men are coming down here because they want to play in our faces for a little while, because at the end of the day, you got to go home. You going home eventually. You can't stay here forever. You're a passport bro. You're not a visa bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these women appease like that. There was even a video of this Asian lady, big old booty. I mean, thicker than a Snicker. Jesus Christ, she was built like a upside down pear. I'm talking thin up top, heavy at the bottom. Googly muggly.
How's your wife
I'll just play
doing over there in the corner?
See, what happened was,
but I love that she'd be sitting in the room with you,
and then she'd be listening to the podcast like, that was hilarious. That was, let me get this knife in my back pocket. That was real funny.
That was real good.
But I say that to say it was kind of the passport bro kind of chronicling this woman, and it speaks to what you were talking about with the whole 1950s housewife. Like, she was very much like doting on him, and giving him foot massages, making sure he had a meal on the table every night, busting that thing wide open whenever he wanted. And then when it was time for him to go, boy, she dropped him off at that airport. He slid her some money across the dashboard, and she beat feet. Right? There's no obligation there. So it's like they they portray themselves as wanting women to get back to the way of the roles of a woman,
Mhm.
when really it's an extended stay escort.
Mhm.
That's how I look at it.
Right.
Because they're only with these women for a finite amount of time, and it's not free.
Yeah.
They not just going there and falling in love with these women for 3 months at a
Uh-huh.
time. They are buying these women's experiences. They are paying for these women's groceries, these women's rent, everything else, however long their money can stretch down there. It is a glorified escort.
Uh-huh.
And I don't let these passport bros fool y'all into thinking it's any other way.
Well, for those situations, I love that. I love that women are able to take charge and get what they want and do what they want to
Absolutely.
do on these people's dimes. But I
Get
know
them.
for there are some people who like this lady right here. They don't know this is
Yeah.
what these people, because there are some who are trying. They're not just going over just for, like, they want to find a wife to bring back to the States, or
Yeah.
that they can marry and they can move to their area because it's, cheaper or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I read one story, the guy, he was complaining because he was a younger guy, he was like 24. He was like, how do you guys do it? He was like, I make like 5 to 7K a month, but it's not enough to continuously go over and then come back. And the women here, they won't date me, and so they won't sleep with me. And he was just complaining, and these guys are just like, you're young, build up your wealth, do what you got to do. And I'm just like,
They really think that money is the key to getting the like
right.
nowhere in that complaint did you say, I've been really working on myself as a human being. I've been working on making myself, a presentable match to another
Mhm.
person. Nothing in there was what is rotten inside of you that these people can see
Yeah.
that they don't want.
There was a really good video a woman
Right?
did with, she was interviewing with another guy. There was 2 guys, and I think one of them did have that conservative mindset or something like that.
Okay.
And the other one was like a moderator, but he was very clearly on the woman's side, because as she was tearing this man down, because he was basically saying, like, what do you have to feel tired about when you get home? Like, why can't you make me meals? Why can't you do this? Like, what are you tired about? And so she read him the riot act. She's like, what do you mean? I went to work. I went to work the same as you. Why is your tiredness more tired than my tiredness? Like, you don't want to come home after working however many hours and then have to cook, clean, look after the kids, yada yada yada. Why do you think I want to come home and do that? Like, she read him the riot act, and the guy was just like, the one guy who was just, yeah, yeah, get
Right.
her. Like,
Right.
exactly. Like, she was like, you don't understand. She was like, you're, when men are, when you guys ask what we're looking for in a mate or whatever like that, you want us to lower expectations or all this, you're asking the wrong questions, because you know
Ooh.
you're
Come on,
not
Pastor.
you're not competing with other men. You're competing with me. The
Eh,
whole point of this whole thing, this date or whatever, is to find out if you improve my life better than what it is now. How
hey,
are you
come on.
improving my life? Because my life is great.
Mm,
I am doing what I need to do. I got my job. I got my kids. I got this, that, the third. How are you going to improve that? How are you
mm.
going to bring happiness, joy, whatever? Because if you're bringing nothing but stressors, I'm good. We don't need to. There's nothing. You go your way, I'm going to go my way, because there's no point to this. Why am I going to
That's
bring
it.
another child on?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And even that I do find a little bit, I don't know. I did because it that almost seems transactional to me.
mhm.
And for me, it's really about, I mean, everybody has their standards. I absolutely get what she's saying
Yeah.
by, you know, is adding you to my life going to make my life less enjoyable? And if
Right.
that's the answer, then it's just a no. And whatever those criteria are, that's your
Right.
business. But I think it should be looked at in that way, and not just what are you adding to me
Yeah.
because you can be somebody of equal value to you
And then,
and be just as happy. So I don't, that's the only problem I see with what she's
yeah.
saying. But what the essence of what she's saying, I'm 100% behind. She was preaching on that
Yeah.
one.
I agree. All right.
Ooh, we girl, you got us with that one. You ready to continue down into the Reddit rabbit hole?
I am. I am.
Yeah. This one is from the subreddit r/am I the asshole, and it is entitled "Am I the asshole for not inviting the neighbors to our daughter's birthday party and then awkwardly kicking them out?" Oh my god. Here we go. Hi. Yesterday was my daughter's 8th birthday, and we did a princess themed party. The only people invited were family or family friends. My relationships with my neighbors are meh. We wave if we see them, but otherwise, we don't talk to each other or anything really. During my daughter's birthday party, held in our yard that is semi fenced in, I started to bring out the cupcakes for the kids. When handing them out, I noticed that 2 kids were definitely not invited because they weren't my nieces or nephews or any of our family friends. I then realized they were my neighbor's kids. I paused handing out the cupcakes to ask why exactly they were there, and one of the kids just shrugged and said, "Mommy said I could go." I told them it was inappropriate just to come here. My husband escorted them back to their parents' house. All of the neighbors' houses are decently spaced, so it's not necessarily dangerous, but we felt better if someone walked with the kids. Later on, I think I think after we did the whole cake cutting thing, our neighbors approached again. This time it was both parents and the kids. I asked what they were doing there, and they looked confused, saying that they were joining the party. I was a little agitated now and sternly said that they were not invited, that this was a birthday party for my daughter, family friends, excuse me, daughter and family friends, and they were the only ones that were invited. It was awkward as they left, and the kids kept whining as they did. Next day, today, I got a handwritten letter in my mailbox about how I treated the neighbors rudely and is expected to share community events. Was I rude or too harsh?
I mean, no. I'm feeling secondhand embarrassment from this story. I'm feeling very uncomfortable right now. I hate it.
Yeah.
Because me, especially when it was just the 2 little kids, I probably would just been like, whatever, like, here's the cupcakes, like, go play, whatever. And then my husband would have dealt with the family as they came. I would not have been there. Because that is so awkward. But it's like, okay, family, community events. Like, so what community events have they thrown that the parents or everyone on the block was invited to or something like that?
Right.
I don't fault her at all. And she's probably correct in the way she reacted. I would be a little bit of a pushover, especially when kids are involved. I would just be like, whatever, go, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I don't fault her for the way she reacted, because that is weird. Like, how do you just invite yourself, or you just see people over and you're like, yeah, let's go join them? Like, I mean, we joke about it. Like, we'll be in our backyard sometimes, we'll hear a cookout and we're like, that smells good. Maybe we should just go grab a plate. But we would
Right.
never actually do that. Like, no
Yeah.
matter what the community is, especially if you're in a community where you're kind of spaced out. It's one thing when you're kind of on top of each other. It's a little bit easier to create that community mindset where kind of everyone might be invited to everything. But when you're spaced out like that, like, no, there's a bubble. No.
For me, I'm kind of conflicted because it's like getting babies, a cupcake or something and send their ass on their way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't just be like, Y'all weren't invited. Go home.
Yeah,
You know what
like
I'm
when
saying?
she was
That's
like,
crazy.
I told them it would, like, I'm just imagining a parent going, "This is really inappropriate. You need to go home
Right.
now." Like, I just wouldn't do that. Like, I understand you're very
Yeah.
meh with the parents, but they're kids, and especially if they're around your kids' age, and if you didn't notice them, they obviously weren't being disruptive.
Right.
So me personally, I mean, like I said, I'm not mad. You are probably completely correct in the way you responded.
Right.
Me personally, I probably would have let the kids stay, at the very least, given them the cupcakes, and then
You
had them go on
know,
their way at some point. I
because
probably would have at the very least contacted the parents and been like, "Hey, I didn't know your kids were coming over. They're about to have cupcakes. I hope they're not allergic to anything, they
right.
can stay till this time, but then that's when it's going to be just family, and so they're going to come home at that point or something like that.
Listen, the way that my family operates, I would have let them kids kick it.
Mm.
Y'all get a cupcake, have y'all a good old time. Then when it get to a certain time of the party, when we winding it down, whatever, I'm walking y'all back across the street. I'm letting y'all go in the door. Okay, little Johnny. Yeah, I hope you had a good time. Carol, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Right.
Don't let your kids wander across the street to my house no more. You lucky I had, but I almost didn't buy that extra box of cupcakes when
Mm-hmm.
I left out the food line. And then I would have been embarrassed and your kids would have been going home crying. So let
Yeah.
me tell you something, to avoid this in the future, don't let them little bastards walk across that street to my house no more. 6708 Oak Street, that ain't their house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Y'all better ask before y'all, like, how dare y'all leave me a letter in the mail
Mm-hmm.
talking about a community event?
If it's a community event, it will be specified. There will be flyers on everyone's door or in people's mailbox, on your car or something, a text message chain, a group chat, something would have been created, a Facebook group, something would have let you know that this is a community event.
Uh-huh.
Anything else is not just if I have a barbecue, that's not a community event.
Oh,
Unless
absolutely
I
not.
specify. If I'm having
Oh,
a birthday party, a baby shower, anything where people are
don't
over, that doesn't mean everybody is coming over.
don't bring your grown ass across the street. The kids I give a pass
Right.
because they don't know no better. If
Uh-huh.
you bring your big ass across the street, you about to get embarrassed in front of all my guests. Okay,
Yeah.
don't come over here looking for no plate.
Yeah. Well, my husband would have been doing that, or somebody. I would be like, go talk to them. I don't want them here. Go talk to them. I don't want to talk to them. You go talk to them. I don't want to
Right.
tell them that. Unless I didn't like them. That'd be a different story.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So what you got for us,
Well,
Kristal?
okay. So I am also going back into the Am I the Asshole Reddit rabbit hole.
Mhm. Okay.
This one is also fairly recently. I think this was about 6 days ago. This one says, Am I the asshole for faking my giving birth?
Faking giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
got to be a cold summer little bit.
you just,
Oh,
you wait.
oh.
Ooh, I love that. Now it's your turn. Y'all heard
No.
him. You heard what he said.
Speaking of which, somebody on YouTube said that they were like, Tim, you be saying this fucked up stuff really low, but do you not realize that you still on the mic? I was like, oh shit. Now
Like,
somebody
we can
actually
still
caught
hear
me.
you. And especially if I'm doing the captions, because I write it. I'm like, oh, he said. So if you're doing with the captions on, you'll definitely read it.
Oops.
All right. So for the edit, I'm going to reread the caption. Am I the asshole for faking my giving birth? I'll keep this as short as possible. I, 25 female, and pregnant with a baby due in a couple of days. My husband, 25 male, promised that he would be the one to drive me to the hospital and that he will be glued to the phone until birth. He works only 10 minutes from our home, and his boss agreed to let him go when the birth happens. The problem is my mother-in-law. My husband and her have an unhealthy, in my opinion, strong bond, and she is overly involved in our relationship, which has caused many issues in the past. She requires his attention every day. She has suggested moving in with us ever since I became pregnant. She also has emergencies whenever we have anniversaries, important occasions like my birthday, etc. As the date is approaching, I am becoming increasingly worried that his mother will have an emergency during the birth, and I will have trouble getting to the hospital or will be first forced to be alone during. I voiced my concerns, and it caused fights between me and them. I even suggested asking my best friend to drive me and keep me company as I'm scared of giving birth, but it was shot down with, "How can't you trust your own husband?" So I'm not proud of it, but I faked giving birth yesterday. I called my husband at work, told him it started. He said he will be right there. After a half an hour, I called him to ask him where he was and he didn't answer. After almost an hour, he called me to say he is at the hospital with his mom because guess what? She is having a medical emergency. Apparently, he called her to tell her I'm giving birth and she got a heart attack from excitement. He said he will have to miss my birth and actually asked me to call my friend to drive me and stay with me. I admit, I was very angry and heartbroken, so I told him I wasn't actually giving birth and that it was a test that showed me how he would actually behave versus what he said he would do, and that it proved he would always care for his mother more than for his own wife, who's carrying his child. He was very angry and even blamed me for his mother's heart attack in that moment. His mom, of course, didn't have a heart attack, but a false alarm. I felt very justified, but now that we talked, I feel guilty. He said he feels manipulated and gaslighted, that just because his mother lied about the emergency doesn't mean I should lie to him. He said that marriage is built on trust, so I have to trust him instead of lying to him to prove a point. He even said that he didn't choose his mother over me, but chose a bigger emergency, and that he knew I could handle getting to the hospital, but his mother needed him more and that a heart attack is more serious. I pointed out that she lied, but he said he couldn't have known that and that I was just as bad for lying. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I the asshole? And then she has a couple of edits.
Oh my
The first
God.
edit is just because I don't won't be misunderstood. She said that wrong. I did what I did because I'm terrified to give birth alone. My friend would have to ask for a day off in advance, so she'd have to know that she is needed before I actually get contractions. My mom died in childbirth, and I don't want to be alone during the scariest moment of my life. Even if I am the asshole, I think this gave me the push I needed to get my ducks in a row, and my friend already asked for a couple of days off to be there when I needed it. I'm just so scared. She said to answer the most common question, why did you marry him? Wasn't he putting his mom first from the beginning? I
Ah.
suppose it is a fair question, but it was never that bad. Well, now it is so. But when we first started, it was lovely. His mother was barely a footnote in our relationship because we were at uni and far away. Suppose my greatest mistake was agreeing to move to his hometown versus moving into mine. I came from a town on the opposite side of the country. Our uni was in the middle, so to speak, and his mom, while nosy and controlling, was far away and very easy to write off. When we got married, we moved to his town for logistic reasons. He had already had a job lined up in his town, and I didn't. We have been living here for a year and a half, and it has gotten progressively worse until now. When he isn't in contact with her, he is a good partner, but when you add her into the equation, he becomes a different person, even if his friends see it and ask me about it. Right now, I want to focus on my baby, but after birth, I think I'll have to rethink our life together. I just can't spend the rest of my days in a triad with his mother. I'm sorry for mostly not replying. I'm emotionally exhausted.
Okay. So this is the first thing. Early on in the letter, this was the first thing I thought. Because I too had the question of why did you marry this man? Because the fact that she said, well, it wasn't that bad, it was bad enough. Saying that something isn't that bad insinuates that it is bad. For something to be not that bad, it has to be bad. So we're just gonna throw all that aside because at this point you've done the dirt. Okay, you've done the harm to yourself. You've married the man. His mother is in your life, and you've had the baby girl. You are in the shittiest situation that you can find yourself in with this man. You are stuck. Might as well be cement blocks you to put your feet in and let the bitch dry. You are stuck. Okay. My advice to you is to play the long game and hope that the roll of the dice means that hoe gonna be in the grave before you are. Okay. Hopefully one of these fake emergencies turn into a real one and that bitch keel over. Okay. And be up out your way. I told Kristal in the pre-show meeting, I'm gonna just start saying what the hell I want to say on this podcast. Truly and honestly. Because I be trying to mince my words and be nice and stuff. But I think those days are over. Play the long game. Hope that she died before you. Because it seems like you really like this young man, despite the fact that he literally left your ass for dead. You said that your mother died in childbirth.
Yeah.
I'm sure that man knows that, and he left you for dead.
You and your baby.
His mama. Behind his lying ass mom. Think about that. Think about that, young lady. If anything else comes up, think about your child.
Mm-hmm.
What if something happens to your child? Is he going to rush to your child's aid, or is he going to rush to his lying ass mama aid? These are things that you have to think about. So if you are willing to play the long game and hope that some way, somehow, some rat poison end up in the bottom of her squash soup this fall, then that's your prerogative. Other than that, you're going to have to get your bags and beat feet up out of there, okay? That's your only two choices. If it was me, the fact that you even had to put this man through a drill is enough for you to have had the paperwork drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted on your desk just in case he failed it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he failed it leaves you with those two choices. And I hope that you make the right one for your and your child's sake.
Yeah. Me personally, while people might consider you the asshole for faking this or testing him or whatever, I think it's a justified the asshole move. Like, I think in this case, it's okay that you're the asshole, because I think a lot of people, if they had thought about it, would have probably done the same, done some sort of drill or whatever, because you just knew this was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. And they kept brushing you off when you said you felt like something like this was going to happen, that you didn't trust him or whatever. Me personally, I'm not going to compete with my mother-in-law. I'm not. That's never gonna be me. I'm not going to compete for your affection, your time, your energy. If this had been an emergency, a real emergency, if she had genuinely had a heart attack from excitement, a phone call. That's all it would have taken. As soon as you called her and you realized what was happening, tell your mom, calling 911. And after you call 911, as you're rushing over there, call me. Hey, mom's having heart, or even a text, just something to let me know what was going on. When you got there and the ambulance got there, text me as she's being loaded up. Text my friend to let her know, can you please go pick up my wife right now? She's having the baby. My mom had a heart attack. Something. You didn't communicate for a whole hour after everything that happened, and you're only 10 minutes away from your wife. I understand that when someone is having a heart attack there, you have to react. I get that more than anyone. I get that. But there's at some point, some time in that hour, there should have been some time where a text, something, hit the damn sorry button and say it. Anything else. Really showed.
What we're missing? You know what we're missing, Kristal?
What?
The fact that they live in the same town, so they are more than likely going to the same hospital.
Yeah.
So the fact that he couldn't have let the ambulance do the job and then him come to get his wife, so they would you're going to end up in the same place as your mama anyway.
Yeah.
That makes it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the same place. You had the choice of going to your mama, where an ambulance is going to be there in a second, or coming to get me, your wife, someone who needs help preparing
Uh-huh.
to go. What the hell can you do for your mama who is having a heart attack? You gonna get there the same time the ambulance do.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing that you can do once the ambulance get there.
Yeah.
The ambulance gonna take care of the rest. You're gonna have to follow the ambulance in the car.
Yeah.
Get your ass to this house and get me and let me,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
And even if, like I said, I can be, even if it had just send me a phone, it just messaged me as soon as, because once you called her and she said, I'm having a heart attack, I'm assuming you hung up and immediately called 911. You know, you
Right.
didn't just stay on the phone as she's having a heart attack. I would think not, as you're driving to the house. So you would have called 911, told them what's happening, and probably at least gotten off the phone to continue driving to your mother's house. In that time, you could have called me because, again, like you said, we're probably going to the same hospital. I probably would have realized that, and I probably would have been like, okay, if you need, I will meet you at the hospital. I'll call so-and-so. They'll bring me, you know, and when we get to the hospital, then you can come to me, because at that point she's going to be going through whatever she's going through and you're not going to be able to do anything, but you can be there for me. Like, we could have figured this out. You deliberately just chose to completely disregard me. And so because of that's how you would be for every major lifestyle, especially since this
Yeah.
seems to be a pattern. And the fact that you're not concerned about this pattern, you're not calling your mom out on it, you're not asking her the same questions you're asking me and blowing up at her the same way you're blowing up at me, tells me that you're okay with this. Your mom can do no wrong, and I'm not going to compete with that. I'm not. I am all for
Ever in my life.
moms, sons, dads, daughter, parents, and their children having a strong bond. I'm all for that. But it cannot be to the point where they can do no wrong. If your spouse is experiencing something, it cannot be where, well, that's just you. Like, you know, there's got to be a balance of some sort.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is not going to be balanced in any sort of way. Now, if you're able to find a job in your hometown and you say, baby, I got a job offer and I want us to move to my hometown, and he's like, nope. Great. You
I
have
had
your
these
answers.
papers printed right off the presses.
Just need to
go ahead and sign right down
right there.
We can split custody 50-50 because that little big-headed child in the other room, he get on my nerves just as much as he get on your nerves. Let's split them up and just be done with it.
Because that would
I'm gonna go do my thing, you do your thing, okay?
That would be me. I'm telling you right now, whenever I have kids, I am convinced I will never be one of those mothers who is like, I have to have my child around me all the time. No, I will absolutely be that thing where I'm like, so Ma, it's summer break. So you want them for a month, 2 months?
See, what happened was I had seen this trip on Expedia. It was real cheap. It was like a month and a half trip. I had to pull a trigger.
Yeah.
So
my baby is so excited to go to Camp Nana's house for 2 months. So I'm just gonna drop them. You know, I'm gonna do that thing, that ding dong ditch, where you just leave the baby carriage.
Yeah.
Ding.
It's gonna be 50
away.
Lunchables, 60 packs of Capri Suns,
and
a goodbye note.
And Erin, she has been waiting. She's been waiting for years for me to have a kid. So between my mom and Erin, like, I'm just never gonna have the kid, and that's.
I was about to say, you ain't gonna see that baby but 3-4 times a year. Yeah,
That's fine.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, the birthday.
Birthday.
That's just about enough for you. Okay, I'm calling the audible. I want to share this last short little thing with you. Okay, it's very fast. I know we got to get out of here, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway. Okay. Just because, you know, it's a special episode.
Yeah.
This one is from the subreddit r/PettyRevenge. Ooh, this is just for you, Kristal. That's why I had to share it with you. Okay, here we go. Think I don't speak English? Okay, I don't. Technically, this belongs to my husband, but I was there to witness the fun. So, backstory. My husband, 36 male, is a Chinese, I think she meant to say descendant. She said decent. I was like,
he's a decent Chinese.
He's up. Okay, anyway. Um, my husband, 36 males of Chinese descent, and was born in America. He speaks perfect English without any accent. Okay, an American accent, and is basically just a regular guy, but does deal with his fair share of racism, both small and large, but he deals with it with grace. Last weekend, we were at a new restaurant that had opened up, and after we sat down, the waitress brought us our menus. She then said, in that condescending way Americans speak to non English speakers, "Do you need anything?" My husband initially looked pissed, but then something sparkled in his eye. He turns to the waitress and very loudly says in a very exaggerated Asian accent, which T will not perform on this podcast for fear of getting canceled, "Help with menu?" He then held the waitress captive for about 10 minutes, having her explain the whole menu to him, dish by dish, occasionally having her repeat things. Then my husband looked at me and said, again very loudly, "No good, we go." So we grabbed our stuff and walked out of the restaurant and went somewhere else.
See, no, this is where he messed up. This is where he messed up. Because at some point before we left the restaurant, I would have turned around and been like, "Hey, thank you so much for explaining everything. We'll come back another time." And I would have walked myself out. There would have been, she would have known. I did not need help. I did not need help. Help with menu? Menu? I got you.
Hey,
help with menu.
And Kristal can do that because she is part Asian. Technically. I can't do it. Okay.
Right. I am forever upset that I did not learn my dad's home language, that I didn't learn Tagalog, because I would love to do stuff like this. I would love to just know what people were saying, to be able to converse about someone in another language. And do something like this.
And I can't wait till I get to that level. And come back to America.
Because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to know what you guys are saying. Like, I got my little Danish site up. I only lasted like 2 weeks. But every once in a while, I go back to try to refresh. But I'm like, I'm going to know.
I haven't tried it yet, but I should. Next time I come home, I'm gonna be talking cash, and I done learned the curse words now. I'm gonna be talking cash. Level. Shit,
yeah,
girl.
I'm highly upset that he did not somehow let them know that he perfectly understood. Even if after she explained everything and he turned around and was like, "Actually, honey, I don't think this is for us. Why don't we go to another place?" Right there and there. They were gonna know. Their ignorance lost my business.
The fact it was, because that's kind of what I was expecting him to do. The fact that he just kept character the entire time and said, "No good, we go," after having her explain it, like, that was the chef's kiss. I was in this room alone reading that story, and I just bust out laughing. I really enjoyed this, so I had to share that with you.
See, and I feel like if I was the wife, because I would have wanted to see that when he turned to me and said, "No good, we go," I would have been like, "Oh, we're going now, we're done." And that's when he would have let me know, "Oh yeah, I guess we're finished. Thank you. Thank you for the performance." If he just turned around
and said, "Indubitably."
I would have gotten up and been like, "So much. Thank you for my performance. I will not be back. Thank you." And walked out. Something.
Right. And don't let there have been a nice pair of chopsticks on the table, because I almost told my business. Look, Kristal know me. Kristal know me. If it's a good glass on the table or a good set of silverware, it might just...
It is a good thing we are out of time, because I have some stories about that. Maybe next episode.
About to tell my business. What Erica?
No, my business.
Oh, girl, we are. Oh yeah,
we are one and the same.
Ooh. What Erica Badu? Gotta reach down in my purse. Listen, don't extend any, restaurant deals to us or anything else. Don't book us to come to your restaurant and review it, because the silverware, the glassware, it will be gone from the table. I'm gonna just tell my business now. Because I'm good for it.
I'll keep that story for another day.
Well, thank you for this wonderful episode, Kristal. I've had a good time. How
I
about
did
you?
too. I had a great time.
Yeah. Well, we hope you all have had a good time as well. And we want to thank y'all for joining us for another episode of the Tea and Crystals podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening. I was a little rough with y'all last episode, I will admit. And I'm going to do it again. Y'all better leave a no, I'm playing. Please leave a review. 5 stars. Make sure you write a review anywhere that you are listening. It helps us immensely. And we really want to know what you think of the podcast. Y'all be telling us in the comment sections, and we really, really, really love it. Y'all be telling us in our DMs. We really, really love it. But we need to see it on these platforms so people also come and join the party. You want people to come join your party? Invite people by leaving a review and 5 stars. If you like what you saw, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe on YouTube. The YouTube is YouTubing, so shout out to y'all. If you have any questions, comments, or you would like to share your own story with us, please do so by sharing that at teaandcrystal@gmail.com. That's TEAANDCRYSTAL at gmail.com. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook by searching Tea and Crystals Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Tea and Crystals Podcast and on Instagram at Tea and Crystals Pod. Now, Kristal, is there anything else you want to say to the people before we get the hell up out of here?
Nope. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Once again, I hope you guys will leave your answers to the questions we did earlier in the episode in the comments because I would love to hear your stories and your answers. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, y'all.